Hey everybody, it's Michael Martin. I think the other thing that happens when you look at the outcome, you can kind of internalize the outcome. So if you put on a trade and you're newer and you win, you might be like, yeah, I'm smart, I'm onto something, when it's really not the case at all. You're just dumb random luck. In fact, when I was starting out, I was putting on trades and there were circumstances where I was making money when I look back and I did everything wrong. My analysis was wrong. My position sizing was wrong. I did everything wrong. And I wasn't necessarily reckless, but I did some pretty boneheaded stuff when I was starting out. And, again, but at least I did it. And that's what taught me the most. If you're if you're afraid to pull the trigger, you might be internalizing and kind of before you even put the trade on, thinking about what all the outcomes could be and then how you're going to feel about any particular of those outcomes. Well, really, there's only three. You're going to lose money, you're going to break even, or you're going to make a little money. But none of those outcomes really say anything about you. It might not necessarily say anything about the trade either. It's only after you do it a couple hundred times that you'll know that you're onto something. That's why I think if you simulate, trading in a simulator with an engine, you can really see how your ideas would have done over a longer period of time. Again, it's not predictive, but at least it'll give you an idea of how those ideas would have worked out over a minimum of 10 years, if not 20. And with that, I'll say forget easy language and TradeStation and doing one name at a time, because it doesn't give you the portfolio effect, right? You're taking risk home with you, you're taking it over the weekend. You can't possibly do all those calculations, mark everything to the market, then generate new trades and figure out what your entries and your exits are. Um, and then mark everything to the market, carry it forward, and then figure it out. Two, it's very difficult to be objective when you're looking with perfect hindsight. A trading simulator is going to look at everything very objectively and say, if you're buying something at, say, a 50-day high, it doesn't care what the ticker is. It doesn't care what the Dow or the S&P did the day before. It doesn't care who's in the White House. It's going to very objectively step in and buy the stuff. And that's very important to be able to do, because most people don't have that. There's bias everywhere. And that's just the way it is. So, you have to get comfortable guessing, or you have to get comfortable spending some money and making some investments into your business, because that's what this is. You have to say you have startup capital. You're going to need trading capital. You're going to need startup capital to run the business and do the back testing. There's really no other way around it as far as I can see, because there's too many names, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of names, thousands of names, depending on what markets you're looking at. Look, if you're trading North American futures, there's, a small amount. So, at the end of the day, that might be simpler. But if you're looking at, stocks, there's too many. There's too many to have to try to filter through. And there's trades where your system might have avoided the deal, or put on trades that you otherwise wouldn't have seen. So, it's very, very difficult to do things by hand and to try to be objective. But nonetheless, if you at least put the risk on and do the trades, you'll learn a lot from that process, and you can refine things as you go. I don't think you have to have it. I think some folks are kind of pricing the thing for perfection, where they have to have everything lined up, kind of OCD, and they're not going to take any attempts at guesswork or otherwise until they have everything lined up, which of course is also very subjective, right? Because there's nothing that says what you think you need is even going to matter, but it feels good to you, right? So you might want to let go of that and just try to put some risk on, see how it feels. In my experience, as I was making my attempts, I didn't necessarily have to nail it. I wasn't really concerned with 100% precision. I kind of wanted to be in the neighborhood, because I knew enough from playing poker and other things. Like, I understood expected values, right? So I kind of knew if I was in the neighborhood of that I could refine it once I got there, right? So you might think of your own evolution as being multi-stage. At the beginning, it's not the beginning of anything other than your initial attempts at managing risk, and it's what you learn in that process that actually helps you refine stuff to get to where you really want to be. Because you can't intellectualize it. It's not an intellectual endeavor at that point. It's emotional, which ties into, what the bigger chapter of trader psychology. So, that's where you can't simulate. You can't go through a chart book and try to figure out what your trader psychology is going to be. You can only feel it when you have real money on the line. There's no other way. There's really no way around it. So hopefully that, sheds some light on your question. I always appreciate these types of emails from you. So thank you for sending them in. If you haven't already gotten your copy of the audiobook version of my book, The Inner Voice Trading, it's for free. Top right corner of Martin Chronicle. Thanks very much for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.